Why did I spend so much time on my phone is a question I often ask myself. I could be laying in bed on a sunny morning, or in a group of close family members and friends, or trying to do my homework. In all these situations, I could find myself absorbed in my phone. This left me wondering what compels me to spend hours on social media every day. Almost as long as I've had a phone, I've struggled with spending too much time on it, and the issue seems to be fairly common among people my age. Before researching anything, in the past I've had conversations with my friends about what their relationship with social media is like. Everyone I've talked to before has expressed some level of excessive social media use and a desire to stop. It seems to be common knowledge at this point that social media is addictive, with many researchers saying that it abuses your brain's reward pathways. While researching this myself, I looked for interviews with professionals, research results, and tried to keep all my sources to .gov or .org sites. One of the first articles I read was with Anna Lemke, a psychiatrist at Stanford University, who talked about how social media affects your brain similar to gambling and using recreational drugs, and even stated that our brains release dopamine when we make human connections, which incentivizes us to do it again. I was more curious about how social media affects mental health at this point, not if, because it was pretty obvious that it does. But at the same time, I wanted to include some time spent on looking into the positive aspects of social media. The first article I read that talked about mental health was an interview with a professor at the University of Wisconsin. Her name is Chelsea Olson, and she said that social media improves connections with people who you don't see daily and helps you network with people who have similar interests. While trying to research benefits, I kept seeing articles about social media worsening mental health conditions and a lot of talk about body image issues. I kept all this in mind and saved some articles for later, but I continued my research on the benefits. Eventually, I found out that social technology companies like Meta do research on their own platforms, mainly Instagram and Facebook. Members of the company have talked about results they found. In 2021, during a hearing with Congress, Mark Zuckerberg argued that social media improved mental health because it helped users connect and feel less lonely. I was skeptical about this claim though, because Meta isn't always transparent about research results, and I think that Zuckerberg has his company's best interests in mind when speaking about if his platforms are harmful or not. I also felt like both these claims of benefits were very trivial reasons to justify the addictiveness of social media, especially because the social connections that they reference were one of the things I found out made social media so addictive. And it's safe to say that addiction makes mental health worse in the long run. At this point, I felt that all the benefits of social media I read about were pretty weak compared to the negatives. I already saw some articles about its contribution to worsen mental health, so I wanted to look more into body image issues and eating disorders related to social media use before finishing my research. I found an older study from 2016, but the information still seemed to be relevant. It talked about how social media was visually oriented and pushed media of people with conventionally attractive features, which led to many users feeling worse about their own bodies. This isn't really a new concept because magazines and movies have done this for decades, but social media will show users this content way more often than any of those forms of media do. At this point, I felt satisfied with everything I had learned. I think it was important for me to learn how and why social media could be harmful, because I realized I need to be more mindful when using it in the future. I would encourage everyone with social media to spend less time on it, because I myself will from now on.